I want to show you this type of levitation that I bet you haven't seen before. Like maybe you've already heard of ultrasonic standing waves, superconductor flux pinning, spin stabilized magnetic suspension, hovercraft, electromagnetic suspension, telekinesis, or simply believing in yourself. But this type of levitation is different to all of those, and I really like this one because straight away it feels like it just shouldn't work. And even better, it was discovered by accident by Bob Collins when he was asked to investigate why British torpedoes kept missing their target. I found out about this because Bob's son emailed me, and that's how we ended up in Bob's front room in Bournemouth, and how I, Steve Mould, personally invented a new way to play hockey. Well, tell me the story.
I started working with a young man on a bench assembling parts. This was part of a torpedo project. People had decided that the fault was in the transducers, and I was asked to investigate.
When Bob says transducers, he's talking about ultrasonic transducers. In other words, a piezoelectric device that's a bit like a speaker, except it's designed to create ultrasonic sound that can pass through water. These transducers send out pings of ultrasonic sound that reflect off targets. The reflected sound is then picked up by the same transducers. In other words, it's part of the guidance system.
One of the first things I did, I held the transducer in my hand, and I happened to have a glass lens on the desk, which I placed on the transducer and immediately slid off. Quite mystified by that, I picked that up and tried to keep it on the transducer, and I couldn't. And then I placed it down onto a glass paperweight, and it started skidding around. And that created quite a bit of interest in the lab. A few people gathered round. We were trying to explain what it was. We didn't really understand it.
When you discovered it by accident, were you deliberately at resonance, or did you just happen to be...
Well, I had that exact signal generator. That is the one.
So this is a signal generator that generates about 30,000 hertz. But these ultrasonic transducers only really get going when you hit their resonating frequency. So when we turn this fine-tuning dial, you can see the moment it hits resonance because the thing starts to move and slide around. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Oh, that's crazy. Actually, when I first saw this, I did think about the bristlebot, which isn't really levitation. It's just repeatedly hitting a surface, which it does reduce friction, but it's not levitation. Bristlebots are really fun, by the way. Like, if you angle the bristles, it actually generates propulsion. But anyway, how do we know that this thing isn't just like a bristlebot? How do we know that it's genuinely levitation? Well, Bob conducted an experiment where the transducer was resting on a metal surface, and that completed a circuit. But when he turned on the ultrasonic generator, the circuit broke. So that proved there was a gap between the transducer and the metal surface. I didn't